In this video, I'm going to be going over 5 common credit card myths that a lot of people deem to be true, but in reality are actually false. And some of the credit card myths that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I myself personally thought they were true once upon a time. So if I can save you guys from any false information out there, then this video is definitely worth making. So make sure to watch this video all the way to the end so that way you guys don't skip out on any valuable information that can help you out. If you're already subscribed, then welcome back. But if you guys are new to my channel, my name is Ismael Sandiford and you are now watching Just Money, where we talk about financial related topics such as personal and business credit, real estate, and other financial related topics. So if that's something you're into, then you're probably going to want to consider subscribing. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So jumping right into it, the first myth we're going to be debunking is, does checking your credit score drop your credit? So 2 in 5 Americans actually think that checking their own credit score can cause their credit to drop, but let me be the one to tell you this is definitely not the case scenario at all. And I think the confusion might come from 2 different types of credit checks that there are, which are called inquiries. A credit inquiry is when a creditor checks your credit report in response to an application for a new loan or credit card and things and such, or also if you're getting pre-qualified for something. And depending on what kind of inquiry it is, whether it be a soft inquiry or a hard inquiry, this will determine if your credit score is going to drop or not. But your credit score is going to be unaffected when you check it yourself or when a lender checks it out to pre-qualify you for a credit card or another purpose of that nature. That is going to be known as a soft inquiry, ladies and gentlemen, and soft inquiries will not affect you in any way, shape, or form. Now, a soft inquiry might appear on your credit report, but it will not affect your credit score at all. But the other type of inquiry is going to be known as a hard inquiry, which definitely does affect your credit score. So pretty much whenever a lender checks your credit because maybe you applied for a new line of credit, an auto loan, a mortgage, or stuff of that nature, that's going to be a hard pull on your credit. That's a hard inquiry. And again, hard inquiries definitely do hurt your credit score. However, the good thing is it only drops it by a few points, and the effects from this happening is only temporary. So again, if you check your credit yourself, you will not hurt your credit score, but if you do end up applying for something and your credit needs to be checked by a lender, then only then will your credit score go down just a little bit though, like roughly 5 points or so. Now, the second credit card myth that is not true is that you should close unused credit cards. I definitely wouldn't recommend closing unused credit cards unless you absolutely need to, due to some crazy annual fee that you're paying every year. Because ladies and gentlemen, that's going to affect your credit score in a few different ways. The first way this is going to affect your credit score is because the length of your credit history is now going to be shortened. And you guys want a long credit history because that is definitely factored into your credit score. Because if you guys didn't know, 15% of your credit score is made up out of the length of your credit history. And having an account with a long credit history is definitely good for your guys' credit score. But the second way this is going to affect your guys' credit score is because of your guys' credit utilization ratio. Your credit utilization shows the amount of credit that you are using versus the total amount of what you actually have on there. So for example, if you have 4 credit cards with a $2,500 limit on each credit card that equals to the amount of $10,000 across all of your credit cards, if you owe $2,500 on one of your credit cards, then that would put you at a 25% credit utilization ratio. And ladies and gentlemen, you want to keep your credit utilization ratio under 30%, so that way lenders and credit issuers can actually approve you for things whenever you guys end up applying for something. Because if you guys are over the 30% credit utilization ratio, then most likely these credit issuers or lenders are going to deny you whenever you guys apply for something. But back to our example, if you were to close 2 of your credit cards, now you only have a $5,000 credit limit across the 2 other credit cards, but you still owe that $2,500 amount. Since you only have 2 credit cards now and you owe $2,500, you are now at a 50% credit utilization ratio, which is not good. Honestly, the best thing to do is just keep your guys' credit cards open, especially if it's a credit card that does not have an annual fee. Now, if it does have an annual fee that is pretty high, then maybe you do want to close your card if you can't afford to make the payments every year. But just know by doing this is definitely going to drop your credit score. And also, if you're trying to close a credit card that does not have an annual fee, I honestly would recommend just to keep it and use it every once in a while for a pack of gum or something, so that way it doesn't get closed for inactivity. Because if a long time passes, like anywhere from roughly a year or longer, then the credit issuer might close your account for inactivity, and that will also lower your credit score, because now you don't have a credit card no more with that history and that limit that you had on there. But the third way closing a credit card can potentially affect your credit score is if that's the only credit card that you have and now you have no credit cards at all. If you don't have any credit cards at all, then you do not have a great credit mix on your guys' profile, because now you're lacking revolving credit, which you need on your credit mix. Because to have a good credit mix, you guys need both revolving credit and installment credit on your guys' credit profile, and that right there is going to make up about 10% of your guys' credit score. So between your credit mix, the length of your credit history, and your credit utilization ratio, that right there is going to make up about 55% of your credit score potentially getting dropped just by closing a credit card. More so 45% though, because most people out there tend to have more than one credit card. So I definitely advise you guys to really think about it if it's worth it to close a credit card. Now moving on to myth number 3, it's bad to have a high credit limit. So a credit limit is the amount of credit you can use on your guys' credit card. And having a high credit limit doesn't mean a credit card issuer views you as a big spender, but instead a higher credit limit indicates that you're a low risk borrower to these credit issuers. More than likely, if you guys have a high credit limit, limit, then you are someone that is trusted to borrow and repay back money without having any issues at all doing so. Just make sure to be responsible with your guys' spending, and again, keep your credit utilization ratio under 30% at all times. But really keep it under 10% if you guys could, because that in itself is really good. Because if you guys have a high credit limit and a very low credit use, that is definitely good for you guys' credit score. Now moving on to myth number 4, your income affects what your credit score is. The income that you make definitely does not affect your credit score. However, it can improve your credit score if you have the money to pay your credit cards back. Because if you don't have enough money to cover your bills, you can easily rack up credit card debt or even miss payments, which can negatively impact your credit score. So fortunately for all of us, the income that we make does not affect our credit score, because if someone was making a lot of income, they can still miss a payment and get their credit score hit regardless of the amount of money that they are making. And honestly, I personally work with clients that were making a lot of money, but they didn't have a good credit score, so you definitely don't need to be making a lot of money in order to have a good credit score. And also, if you guys are finding any of this information helpful, if you guys could do me a favor, hit the like button. I would truly appreciate it, because it really helps me out a lot, and then it's also a dope way to help support the channel. But anyways, moving on to the last myth that is not true. The 5th myth that is not true is you have to carry a balance on your credit card in order to start building up your credit score. Guys, as I said in my last video, you definitely do not need to carry a balance on your guys' credit card in order to boost your credit score, and let me tell you why. Whenever a credit issuer extends you credit under the terms and conditions, they expect to be paid back in a specific time frame. And if they're not paid back in full in a specific time frame, then you're going to have to pay something called interest, which is money you're being charged to borrow money. But again, as long as you guys pay them back in full, then you will not need to pay back any interest. All that really matters is that you're using the credit card and paying it back before your payment due date, because it still shows that you're using the card, and also by doing this, you will not have to pay any interest. So to sum up what I just said, all you have to do is simply use your credit card and just pay it back in full before your payment due date. What some people tend to do is only pay the minimum payment and let the rest of the balance roll over to the next month, because they think that in itself is going to boost their credit score. Now, the only way this can be true is if you have a 1% credit utilization ratio, because it is said that having a little utilization is better than having no utilization at all. One thing I do want to point out though is that you don't need a 1% credit utilization ratio in order to have a good credit score. Honestly, I didn't even want to talk about this because I don't really like promoting any kind of debt from credit cards on my channel, because I really don't want to confuse anybody. I personally would recommend to have a 0% credit utilization ratio versus having a 1% credit utilization ratio. Because if you're worried about 1%, then you're going to have to look at your credit card all the time to make sure it's always at that 1%, and I just feel like that's doing way too much. So what I recommend to do is just pay your guys' credit cards off in full. Don't worry about the 1% just for solely trying to raise your guys' credit score. Because if you have anything higher than that 1%, then it's just going to decrease your credit score, because now you're bringing your credit utilization ratio higher than what it is. And I just feel like a 1% usage is a very tedious and annoying job. So if you guys find yourself doing this, then you probably should be looking at alternative ways to help boost your guys' credit score. So if you guys need help with that, then there's plenty of other videos on my YouTube channel to where I teach you guys how to build credit, whether it be installment loans, being added as an authorized user, or even getting a secure credit card. I teach all that, so just feel free to browse my YouTube channel or hit the link in the description below. But my final statement on answering this myth, do you need to carry a balance in order to boost your credit score? My answer is no, you do not need to carry a balance in order to boost your guys' credit score. Please do not try to carry debt in order to boost your credit score. Do not do that. Not gonna lie though, when I was younger, I did think this was a thing you actually had to do, but it's just a myth, guys. If you guys really want to boost your credit score, then I made a full in-depth video talking about all the different categories that make up a credit score, so I highly recommend you guys watch that video. Feel free to browse my channel or hit the link in the description below. But that's gonna wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you guys found value in any of this information. As always, let me know in the comments below if you guys ever believed in any of these myths before. I would like to know, because for me personally, I did believe in one of these myths before, not gonna lie. Don't forget to get your guys' free stock at Robinhood. That could potentially be worth all the way up to $200 when you guys use my link in the description below. And also, if you guys are looking for a high yield savings account, I personally use SoFi, so that's what I would recommend using. If you guys use my link in the description below, then you can potentially earn all the way up to $325 of free money, so I definitely wouldn't snooze on that while the offer is still available. And also, really quick, I do offer one-on-one consultations. If you guys want to speak to me personally, the link will always be in the description below. But if you guys made it to the end of the video, we are at 47,328 subscribers at the time of this recording, so I do appreciate all who watch. I do post weekly videos for those that don't know, and if you guys haven't yet already, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't yet already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that way you guys get notified every time I post a new video. And again, we talk about personal and business credit, real estate, and other financial related topics, so if that's something you're into, then you're probably going to want to consider subscribing. We talk about how to get high limits on your guys' credit cards, talk about how to boost your personal credit, how to obtain business credit, we talk about real estate, we talk about mortgage loan programs, we talk about all that. So this is your one-stop shop. And also, really quick, for those that don't know, I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Southern California and a licensed mortgage loan originator. So if you guys are trying to buy or sell a home, all my information will always be in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.